Hey guys, and welcome back to Alliance War Season 21, where D69 is going to be taking on the Matrix Cheaters. So we are 8-0 going into this war. We've not lost a war, and we're in very good shape. I have 3 deaths on the season, and we're at a 95% PSR. So last war we took a 565 thing, which means that it is time this war to take a rank 3 6-star thing. This is a SIG 200. This is, of course, one of the top Alliance War alliances in the game, but now that I'm recording this after the season has ended, of course we all know these guys cheated the whole season, and they were actually they weren't as good as everyone shows, and there's actually direct proof of how those specific cheaters influenced this war into us losing. So first we're going to take path 6, but I'm actually, what I did is I waited for everyone to clear because I know that Quake or Void can take this fight extremely easily. However, Magic is the best counter, so I just had someone back me up and bring Magic because he was on backup bringing Magic for Section 2, and I thought that just made so much sense. It was a great idea. Actually, Run had the idea, so shout out to Run. But we're going to boost up for this thing, for this Human Torch, and then we're also taking Havoc on the next node. So we are just using the 20% boosts. So we did know that this would be a very tight war. Power Focus 1, Power Alternator completely counters that. I think I don't even have Suicides on. Yeah. So for this war, we're not going to be running Suicides. I think every single one of my fights this war is Quake or Void, so it's a science war. But yeah, it should be a good war. Doing decent damage. Looks like it's going to take about 4 Quake cycles and then 1 heavy attack to end it off. Human Torch is one that I quaked earlier in the season, and I did mess up taking 1 hit, but he's just a little jank quaking him, but this is alright, we're doing just fine. I think I threw off a heavy attack here. Okay, yeah, I probably would have if I could have redone that fight, but that's alright. Looks like this is actually going to take 1 more cycle than I predicted, but I do not have a problem with that, as this looks like a very safe fight. Yeah, we throw off our heavy, it takes off 6%. Right here I could have just parried and killed him in like 2 combos, but let's go full Quake style, and this guy goes down very nicely. Alright, so let's go up to the next node. So this is going to be Havoc on Power Alternator Heavy Hitter, and this is the same node that I took with Ghost earlier because the guy with Warlock did not know how to reparry, so he had me take it with Ghost, which was of course not a good option, so I died. But now we are taking this with Quake, and that is actually a much better counter to this. So Quake is, I don't think she's the number 1. I think the number 1 counter to this node is Warlock, and then number 2 Guillotine, number 3 Guardian. Say Quake is probably number 4. But the thing with quaking Havoc is that you have to be very careful that you beta special 2 every 3rd cycle, but the stuns actually line up perfectly so that you're able to push to that cycle. Or to the special 2 on the 3rd cycle, so it's completely fine. Basically, 6 quaking cycles, except that in the middle you need to push to a special 2. So we're going to do 2 shortened combos, and then right here we're going to push to the L2, which is very nice. That went perfectly. And then right here, because of Power Alternator, you have to throw your L1, because if you don't, the Havoc right there when that timer ended would have shot up to a bar of power and thrown it right into me, and that is how you lose this fight. But what I'm doing right here, he is at 5%, so I think I'm going to go for a reparry right here. That would probably be the smartest move. No, okay. I'm actually just going to... That's completely fine. There we go. That fight's over. Obviously not played flawlessly, but I'd say that was pretty close to perfect. Only took 1 hit. And now we're going up to Section 2. Actually, no, we're not out of Section 2 yet. We're going to take Mixmaster Korg with Quake. So, as I'm recording this right now, the White Magneto pre-fight is bugged, and this actually does not work. You cannot Quake this node, so do not do it with Stubborn. Technically, it's possible, but you have to be like a really exceptionally good Quaker, and it's just not worth it. Just send an Omega Red or a Proxima or just someone that counters evade and or does great damage. But Quake, when the pre-fight is working, is the number 1 best counter to this fight, and I don't really see any argument. I don't think anyone else is even close. I think Apocalypse is sort of good, and I know 4 Loki uses him, but just Quake's so much better when the pre-fight's working. It's like a huge difference. But yeah, there you go. This guy's going down pretty fast. I'm going to speed through this fight just because it's a little bit of a long Quake fight. There's one more fight I'm going to do that with later in the war. But yeah, it's basically the exact same thing. And as long as we don't miss a parry, I think I took one hit there. But now we're at the end of our fight. We're going to go through one more cycle. And then this guy's going to go down. So yeah, we did take a hit, and then all that power we have is from parries. We almost got a full bar of power just from parries, and then I'm going to wait out another full cycle. Probably could have thrown my heavy there and killed, but if it didn't kill, then I would have pushed to an L1 because of power focus 1. So this is actually completely fine. So there you go. Just under 2 minutes. I could easily take a rank 3 6-star on that node. And I actually have. But that was the war where the recording failed. So now we're going to go over to the middle section for section 2. We had a guy with Corvus take that domino. It went really nicely. And we're taking this Apocalypse. Apocalypse on Rage is a massive, massive waste of an Apocalypse on defense. There are nodes where Apocalypse can be really annoying, such as if you're using Doom as your boss, then you want to put Doom on the, if you're using Doom as your boss, the second best placement on kinetic transference powerful from afar is Apocalypse, because the only real counter to him on that node, I guess someone like Warlock can technically do it as long as they're running willpower, but the best counter and really the only very, very safe counter is Magic with the special 1 boost. So there we go. I'm not really too worried about this fight. I think I took off my attack masteries prior to this fight, but I can't confirm. I don't know for sure. There we go. And this is going down pretty well. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer fight. But luckily this is only a rank 2. We thought this was a rank 3 6-star going in, but I guess Apocalypse, even Unawakened, just has a pretty high PI. So luckily we're using a stubborn attacker with Void. I am taking a lot of block damage, but we're going to heal some of it back up later, so I want to make sure I'm always baiting out L1s, and the way I bait it out is I block the first 2 hits and then I evade the third, which of course would activate Stubborn if I was not a stubborn attacker. I'm immune to that because of my parries. So right here, we're just going to do a few hits, bait another L1 out. He didn't really want to throw it, so I parried one more time. Once you have Fear of the Void, if you have like a special 2 crit, you can activate Fury. But really, there's no danger of it just because I'm intentionally dragging this out to be a very long fight. And I believe my next fight's actually a Quake fight, so I don't have to be like super attack boosted. So you see right there, I had a medium crit while I had Fear of the Void up, and with Dexterity, of course, the chances increase, and I did trigger 1 Fury, but it late in the fight that I'm not even slightly worried about it. You see, even right there, I've run out of the charges on attack, but he only has 10% left, so I'm pretty sure this one combo right here is going to kill, and it does, so there we go. I don't know if I would call Void the best counter to him. Quake definitely does not work, but he's pretty good. So now we have Stealthy, and this is what kind of shocked me, because what I expected to see was these same 2 defenders on these nodes, but flipped. So I think Apocalypse would do better on the second node, and Starkey, I probably said Stealthy the first time too, would be better on the first, because it forces a Quake or Sorcerer Supreme or an auto nullifier to take it. But yeah, this fight's really not hard. I even throw off a heavy attack. There's actually Power Focus 2 on this node, and then Aggression Prowess. But I even threw off a few heavies because I'm just so confident in this fight. For some reason, even though he's an all-out attacker, he's a defensive champion, which I will never understand. But like, I don't really think it matters. He's just such a joke. On defense, he has one of the lowest health pools in the game. And completely unboosted, by the way. No attack masteries. The only boosts I have right now are my my health boosts. That's it. But yeah. no attack masteries because of rage, and he just goes down so easily. And then we're going into another fight, and this is actually a fight where I'm going to time out of. So this is going to be rank 3 Emma Frost on Rage, and I massively underestimated this fight. So I thought that this would be a fight that takes about 4 minutes. I expect it to be very long. I did not expect it to be a timeout. So I had all my attack masteries off from the previous fights. We're going to leave them off because I don't want any chance of triggering Rage here. But even without attack masteries, I did not think I would time out to this fight. But yeah, I'm not going to show this fight just because it's a whole 5-minute fight of me doing the exact same thing. I'll show the first 30 seconds so you get the general strategy, but I'm not going to show this fight. So yeah, we're going to hit reparries the whole fight so that we can evade L1s and not trigger Stubborn. So right here, we're just going to throw the L1s. And this is basically the way the entire fight went. It was just parrying the first hit of the L1 every single time. Like the entire fight, that is the way I bait out L1s if it's not unblockable. I always parry the first hit. There I missed the parry, which happens occasionally. But when you parry the first hit, then you're building a charge and losing a charge from evading the second one so you can punish. So you're actually not losing any stubborn charges. So right here, we're going to parry, dash back. And that's basically the way the whole fight went. So I'm going to skip through it because it's boring. Let's go back in here. So we're going to go back in, finish off this fight. Of course, Void's still alive because we timed out. When the fight ended, I was at 92? No, that looks like 84%. I'm not sure. I think I was around like 85, somewhere around there when I timed out. But yeah, so that fight's going to go down. That was really annoying that I timed out, but in previous seasons, I would have counted that as a death. However, we have revised the way it works with the fact that we are now tracking all of the fights in the BG, and we have come to the fact that, or we've come to the decision, or I have come to the decision. I made it way before this war, so it's not like I made it because I wanted to avoid deaths. We made the decision that if you time out on a fight, you have video evidence of it. Well, you don't need video evidence, like, you just need to say you timed out, and if it seems plausible, like it seems like the type of fight it's possible to time out on, then that makes sense. But we've come to the decision that if you time out and you were fighting the entire fight, so for example, if you were going into a fight that should take 2 minutes, and at 1 minute in you get down to 17% and you don't want to die to Assassin if you're using Quake, it's reasonable to pause and time out so that you'll still get a death. You'll do the same amount of damage, you'll just save some items. But in my case, I was fighting the entire time and I timed out with 1% health left. So I was super, super pissed off about that. I was so, so close. But I didn't trigger Rage the whole fight. And I also don't have Resonate at this point. So with Resonate, I probably solo that in about 3.5 minutes. But yeah, now this is another really long fight. I thought this would just be a good chance to explain myself for this fight and the next fight. So I do have 2 more fights left. So I have this one, which is Annihilus on the mini node, and this is actually a flawless Quake fight. I will skip ahead to the end. But yeah, it was a perfect. This was a rank 3 Annihilus, by the way, on the mini boss node. It's just a little bit of a long fight, but I had no attack masteries for this also. But then after I got out of this fight, someone had to take the Sim Supreme on the power gain mini, and that gave me a chance to redo my masteries. So I made my offensive non-suicide masteries. I put all my points back in, and then we went into the Thing boss. So this was a rank 3 Sig 200. As you see, all the other links are down. I'm just waiting for this guy to take Sim Supreme with Magic. I think I could have taken that with Void, but if I got really, really bad RNG and I can't reverse the power gain or even slow it, then it's a loss. Or I'd have to eat an L3, which is not fun. Void has a massive health pool, could have survived it. But after that fight, I max boosted, like the biggest boost possible. I used a special 1 boost, and I timed out to this thing with 2% health left. And when I tell you how flawless of a fight this was, go back and watch my last war, because I took a 565 thing. The whole fight, I ended with 98% health. I only missed one parry. So, like, when I say miss a parry, I mean I took a blocked hit that was not a parry. Every single other hit the entire fight was a re-parry or a parry. In this fight, flawless. I played perfectly. It got down to the wire. I didn't think I would time out. I had 94% health left. Slightly more block damage because it was a rank 3, but I missed, like, I think 1 or 2 parries the whole fight. I timed out with 2% health left and then cleaned up with Killmonger. So unfortunately, I do not have video of this because I stopped the video here, and usually when I have 2 fights or like 1 fight and then someone else takes another and then I have another fight, I keep recording through it and I just edit out the middle. But I actually ended the recording because I thought I would remember to restart it. I did not. I did not remember to restart it, so I do not have the recording for you. I'm sorry about that. But once again, that's not going to count as a death. But because I think it would be really cheap if I would count it as a win, I'm going to count it as neither. So I had 8 fights this war, but I'm only going to count 6 of them. So my PSR is only going to raise by 6 instead of 8, and my deaths is going to stay the same because I think that's fair. That's sort of reflecting the amount of skill that is balanced between, like, timing out and then timing out intentionally to not die, which is not what happened either time. So that's going to be the end of this war, and because these guys are cheaters, they took home the victory, of course. We did not have our best war, but let me show you, right? So the difference in deaths was 7. So let me just take a look at the MVPs. Rage, I got the second MVP for 8 fights, and Trigan, that seems right. And then look at their MVPs. Sue, Fanny, Goat, and Brutalizer. Do you recognize any of those names? Maybe you recognize that 2 out of 3 of those players were the ones that got banned for their alliance. One of them took 12 fights, including a rank 3 Thing Boss with Void, which he soloed, and the other one, Brutalizer in number 3, took 11 fights, including a rank 3 Thing Boss with Void that he soloed. Now, you tell me. What they do is they have 3 attentive players, 3 out of 10 players go on Section 1, Section 2, and clear the global node down before they finish Section 1 and Section 2, the other 2 sections. If you have cheaters being the ones that clear these sections at the beginning, doesn't that make it so much easier for the rest of the alliance to not die? So let's say you have one of their non-cheaters that goes up one of these paths where there are no global. I think, legitimately, 2 players subbed out, they probably die 4 or 5 more times. And if they died 4 to 5 more times earlier in the war when they were trying to clear the global, that would have made us actually boost for the last. Of course, I always max boost even if it's a blowout for us or for them. But I just think it's ridiculous how cheaters stopped us from making that final push or giving us the opportunity to make that final push and beat these guys. So unfortunately, we are going to take the L because this alliance is a bunch of cheaters, but that's going to make us 8-1 on the season with me having 3 deaths, and I'm now 63 out of 66 for my PSR, or exactly 85.45%. So we're close to 96. But that's going to be it for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.